Welcome everyone to episode 56 of the Circle Back Podcast, the show where three great friends get together and just talk about video games. As always, I'm Dan LaMarca. As always, I'm joined by Dan Dufrenoy. Dan?
Crickets.
Dan? Dan has the
Bueller?
flu. Dan has the flu. He's out today. But I am joined, as always, by Shelby White.
How you doing?
So we're just going to do a nice little intimate two-person episode here. Poor Dan. We feel bad for him.
Yeah, flu's no fun.
Flu is no fun. But I have like an absolute shit ton of games to talk about. So,
yeah, it's been a while. So
yeah, because we did that Zelda podcast, I kind of have like a month's worth of games that I've been playing ready to go. So I'll just kick it off with probably so I'll say I finished Sekiro.
Yes, yeah.
Since our last episode. Absolutely love Sekiro.
Mm-hmm.
You guys know that we're doing Sekiro Shelby Dies Twice. We're having a ton of fun with that. But man, Sekiro is just such a special game, and I love it so much. It's I want to give it time, obviously, but I think I like it definitely more than I even like Bloodborne, and I love Bloodborne.
Oh yeah, all right.
Yeah, I love this game.
Because I haven't we've talked about it on the other videos, but haven't really played any other From Software games. I dabbled with Dark Souls a little bit, but I could already tell that like the controls obviously are way different. And I know a lot of people had like wonky controls, and that's caused so many deaths in some other games, but this one's just so fluid. It's so easy to control, so quick,
They really did an excellent job kind of polishing this one up and kind of distilling like what it means to be a From Software game without like being beholden to like the annoying shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, and instilling a story, a great story. You know?
Yeah. It does some really interesting stuff. I'll also say that final boss in this game is maybe the hardest boss I ever fought in a From Software game.
I remember you saying you were stuck on it for a little bit.
Oh my god! Because there are definitely times in this game where you're like, "Wow, okay, this is hard. Like I got to figure it out." But usually, like I'll just learn the patterns, figure them out. That final boss was so hard for me, and I can't wait for you to get to it.
Yeah, it's like, that sounds miserable for me.
You've been absolutely killing it though in the videos.
Far. Yeah, I mean, if you've caught up on the videos, I'm about to walk through a door that seems menacing, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, you're right outside that door. So yeah, I just wanted to mention I finished that game. Very, very high contender for me for Game of the Year, but
nice and early too.
Yeah. Oh, what a game! What a game! I'll also say way back, 3-4 weeks ago now, I started playing Yoshi's Crafted World.
Oh, you have been working on that?
Yeah. I don't really like it that much.
No, not so much.
And the funny thing is, like, I have all these games here, and some of them I absolutely love, but I feel like a lot of times because I kind of, we're not beholden to anyone, so I can kind of pick and choose what games I want to play. It's not like I have to play everything that comes out.
Yeah.
But so usually I come on this podcast and I'm like, hey, I love this game. Here's this game. It's so cool. It's so unique. I love this game. And it's like a bunch of the games on this list, I'm like, I don't really like it. And it's like, it's because a lot of these things really seemed up my alley, and that's why I jumped into them.
Yeah.
And then once I got into them, I was kind of surprised. I'll talk about more about that with the other games, but as far as Yoshi, we talked about it on here. I love Yoshi's Island.
Mm-hmm.
They were kind of billing this as like, okay, because there was what was it? It was like the Yarn Yoshi, whatever.
Yoshi's Woolly World.
Woolly World, yeah. And everyone was like, okay, that's like a kid's game, and it's not even a really good kid's game. But Yoshi's Crafted World, it looks like it's a kiddie game, but also like has some Yoshi's Island DNA. Like, this is how people were talking about it. I'm not saying Nintendo was really talking about it like that, but some people in the industry were kind of talking about that before it came out. So like, you know what? Yoshi's Island is a fucking fantastic platformer, like an actual great game. I know a lot of people have their gripes with it because it's technically Super Mario World 2. And I mean, we all know that doesn't make any sense. But Yoshi's Crafted World, my problem with it, it's just kind of...
I heard it was very easy.
That's what it is.
It's just too easy.
It's just kind of mindless. And this isn't like a knock against the game per se, because it is a kid's game.
Yeah.
So I can't really be like, oh, I wish it was harder.
Yeah.
It's just
Yoshi Sekiro's Island.
But that's the thing. I don't need all my games to be super difficult, but this
to have a good time. Yeah.
It almost like makes it like it's very charming. The art style is awesome. Like, it has a lot of stuff that I like, but it's not enough to carry it through to be like a fully enjoyable experience. It's kind of like, you're just a zombie walking through. You don't really have to be
just
paying
simple
attention.
platforming kind of stuff. Yeah.
Never die. Never like it's just But like I said, if I think for like a 5-6-year-old, like this could be an amazing like jumping on point for video games, because there's not.
It looks great. Like it's on the Switch. I agree with you there.
Yeah. It's beautiful. I really, really like the way they made this game. It's just, for me personally, I just, it's not enough.
Yeah.
For what I was hoping for. And again, the hopes that I had up for it were that's probably on me. I'm not like saying like, oh, they should have said it was like, but we still hold some hope that another Yoshi's Island will be coming. That's why I bought it. So I'm probably like half, 3/4 of the way through that. I don't know if I'm gonna go back to it. Does suck that I paid $60 for it though.
Yeah, that's I would definitely I wouldn't be opposed to giving it a shot.
Right.
Trying it out. But I would not at $60. Not at that price.
That's what I would say is like I'm not saying this isn't for anyone. Like if this sounds interesting to you, beautiful, fun, charming platformer where like, low stress kind of thing.
Yeah.
Wait until it's cheaper.
Yeah.
If it ever gets
Which
cheaper.
is tough. Nintendo barely ever goes cheap.
I know. Nintendo, first party Nintendo games, they never really lower.
Yeah. It'll go to like $45 and that's about as low as it goes.
Yeah, exactly. So that's Yoshi's Crafted World. Shelby, let's talk about one of these games that you've been playing.
So I want to talk about Gravity Rush 2 first.
Okay. I think you had mentioned that you were like dabbling with it.
I had first started it, I think last time, and or I had just gotten it, and I loved Gravity Rush on Vita, and because I remember first playing Gravity Rush on Vita, and I was like, this is using this system for what its intended purposes are, like to be like that, and it was super hard to control at first, but then once I finally got it, I enjoyed it, and the story was okay, like it was there. There was a story to follow.
Some interesting stuff in it, yeah.
Yeah, and then they brought Gravity Rush to PS4. I didn't remember anything about the story from the first one. I was hoping for a little recap. They sort of do it, as you play through it, they talk about all the stuff in the past, so you catch back up on it. The controls are way easier to handle with the controller instead of the Vita. My only gripe was that, and there's probably a way to turn it off, but they use like the 6-axis kind of thing.
So the gyroscope.
So when you're flying through the air, if you move the controller, the camera moves, which becomes super annoying during combat. Like it's kind of cool when you're just flying from one spot to the other and you just like don't have to move the camera. You can just kind of move your hands. But when you're in combat trying to fight, and it's like,
so was it always
so annoying?
Was it always just the camera controls on the gyroscope, even on the Vita, or
I don't remember. That's the problem.
I think it was, because I remember having a hard time playing it because you're looking at the screen and moving it.
Yeah. So it probably was that way. So they tried to bring that back with the controller.
Well, it makes more sense with the controller because you're looking at a static screen.
Yeah.
Even if you're moving the controller, you know what I mean. Like you're not trying to like keep your eye like getting dizzy looking around the room.
Because it was like, and it was only when you were flying, So that was my only gripe with that. And I'm sure, like I said, I looked for a way to turn it off. I couldn't find it, but whatever. I got through the whole game anyway, so I did beat it. It really picked up in the second half of the game. Like in the beginning, I was like, okay, well, I'm kind of slogging through this right now. But they bring in some very interesting characters. You obviously play as Cat again, and then you get thrown into these different worlds, and that's where it starts getting a little bit better. And then you get into the second world, and it's really open world. Like it's just these floating islands. And you could just travel, like one could be, you can't even see it. And if you just drop off an island and go down through the ground, you find this a whole bunch of islands of the slum world and stuff.
Oh, really?
So the exploration of the game really, really opens up, but you can't really do anything on these islands unless there's a prompt for a person or something. That's the only downside. It's like, there's not true exploration, but like I said, I had a really good time with the game. The bosses towards the end of the game were great. Like actually really fun to fight instead of just doing the Nevi stuff or Nevi, whatever they're called, the enemy bosses. But it was super cheap.
Was the story interesting?
The story was pretty interesting, but like I said, not so much in the beginning. Like towards the end, it picked up.
Okay.
A lot more characters to follow. A lot of characters that you knew from the first game and stuff like that.
Cool.
So yeah.
Nice. I've definitely heard people speak pretty highly of Gravity Rush 2, especially compared to the original.
Yeah.
Kind of like, hey, the original was a cool game. It was cool on Vita. It's a reason. You're right. Everyone kind of loves a game that's like, hey, we're gonna actually use the hardware for what it was intended to.
Because what was the other game that really used it?
Little TVs? About Tearaway.
Tearaway was fantastic. Yeah.
That's the one for me. But Gravity Rush was like a interesting proof of concept, and then everyone was like, "Wow, give this a try." It's a slow starter from what I heard. And then
for sure.
Really jumps
100% a slow starter, but it's good.
Cool.
And I heard they have plans for a third one.
Oh, really?
Someday.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
All right. So that was Gravity Rush 2. You playing that on PS4, right?
Yeah, I did. I beat it. I completed it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'll talk about another game that I have some conflicted feelings on.
Ooh.
Game called Pathway. So Pathway sounds like a game that I
remember this. Why do I
love
remember this?
And this is why I'm so upset by it.
Mm-hmm.
The basic pitch is FTL style, like node. This type of thing is so hard to explain because it's only in a couple of games that I've played. It's in FTL. It's in oh god, what's the card game that I fucking love that I can't think of for some reason? No. It came out in early access last year and it finally released this year. The card dungeon crawling. Damn it, I can't think of it. Slay the Spire.
Slay the Spire. All right. You and Ralph were talking about that.
I love Slay the Spire, and I'm sorry I forgot your name. But basically, Slay the Spire and FTL have this thing, right, where it's nodes with lines attaching. So they're like different paths, right? And the nodes, whenever you go to a new node, an event happens, right? So it might be a battle. It might be a random world event. It might be like a merchant. Like basically that's the whole conceit of FTL. And then Slay the Spire obviously borrowed from that and made a similar thing.
Yeah.
But Pathway does that as well. So it's FTL style traversing the world, and it's XCOM style turn-based combat. It's two things I love very much.
So there's an RPG.
Yeah. So then on top of that, it's Indiana Jones.
Is it?
So I'm like,
yeah.
Like, this sounds great. Like, they're basically stealing, it looks like Indiana Jones. They make jokes about Indiana Jones, like, whatever. So I'm like, okay, you checked enough of my boxes where I could pay your $10 or whatever it is and play it.
Take my money.
The problem is, I don't think it does any of those things well.
Oh.
And it's so upsetting.
That's so unfortunate.
It's so upsetting because the FTL, like, the whole reason FTL is such an amazing experience is because it's constantly surprising you with a large number of things that you can basically that could happen. Yeah. So like you go to a node and it's like, holy shit, there's a new species of alien I've never seen before that's like attacking me or whatever. Or it's like, holy shit, like there's this place where there's solar rays that are hitting your ship or whatever, and it's like you're just constantly being surprised by what's going on. And in Pathway, it's like most of these nodes are like, hey, there used to be some old relics here, now they're buried in sand and nothing happened. Like, it's really, and I gave it, I actually put in like 2 hours and 3 hours into this game because I was like, I need to make sure I'm not just giving it short shrift after playing my first two like, runs.
Yeah.
Because it's a run based game where it's like, every node you travel, this is the FTL thing. Every node you travel, you use 1 unit of gas, right?
Okay. If
you run out of gas, you have to start walking. And if you start walking, every time you move to a new node, you lose a percentage of your health. So it's like, you can't be walking through the desert through this whole thing.
Yeah, for the whole game. Is this a Steam game?
Yeah, I'm playing it on PC. I think it's actually on a lot of, I should
consoles.
Look it up. Yeah. But yeah, I just wish, like, it's a game I wanted to love so bad. Just by looking at it, by hearing what it is, the first time I booted it up, I'm like, hell yeah, let's do this. This is great. And it's just not a good game. And it makes me really sad to say that because
do you think the hype for stuff like that makes you play it a little bit longer than you normally would?
Yeah, but it's not even hype from other people. It's more,
it was like self hype.
That's what I'm saying. So I'll like come on, this is my kind of game. Keep going. And like fuck, it's just not, man. It is just not.
That's funny.
So it is actually only on PC right now.
Okay. It'll probably go to Switch or something like that. It looks like it
right now. But the thing, what I want to say is, instead of just saying, "Hey, this game doesn't do anything well," I'll explain why. So FTL, I told you the FTL style node-based traversing the world is just not interesting enough. Mm-hmm. And then the turn-based tactical stuff,
the XCOM,
it just has no depth, and it has no. Like, there are a limited amount of abilities. There are...
So every battle kind of seems the same?
It's just very basic in this way, where it's like, hey, flank this guy's cover, shoot him. It'll tell you your percentage to hit. It'll tell you your damage range. Like, I don't know. It's kind of like I'm not really articulating it well, but it's just a boring version of a thing I like. And because I like it so much, I know the good ones versus the bad ones. So it's I can tell you... Pathway, it just the turn-based combat is just not good, and that's for a game that's it's literally doing okay. What if it's FTL meets XCOM with Indiana Jones? Okay, so maybe some of the writing is good, but that's not enough for this.
I have to say, like, just hearing that combination sounds so awesome. Yeah, so it is upsetting to hear that this game is not that great.
It's very upsetting. But anyway, that's Pathway. It won't be returning to that. I gave it its due, and I'm not pleased.
I'd actually, you know what? Piggybacking off that, I want to talk about a game that borrows as well. So I've been playing. I checked out my PlayStation Plus, and the 2 games this month are Conan Exiles and The Surge.
Yes.
So The Surge, I saw. Do you know this game?
Mm-hmm.
Have you played?
Yeah.
Yeah. So The Surge is basically a sci-fi post-apocalyptic Dark Souls clone.
Yeah.
Like, essentially, that's what it is,
that is what it is.
So, I started playing it, and I didn't realize it was a Dark Souls clone when I first started playing it, and I was like, this is exactly... And like I said, I only dabbled in Dark Souls, but playing Sekiro, I'm like, all right, this is exactly what Dark Souls is, yeah. So I'm liking it so far. I really do enjoy it. I don't think it has that charm that, like, ropes you into it too much. It's kind of just like... The guy you play is kind of like a weird guy, whatever.
I think the opening is really interesting because it's like horrifying.
Yeah,
don't they like do eyeball stuff?
Yeah, they like he's supposed to be sedated and he's not, and like he feels everything that happens to him. And then as you start meeting other characters and hearing like audible things, like it's the same thing. People are like, I wasn't sedated, and I still feel the ringing like going into my head, and I'm like, Jesus.
So the whole thing is he's like modified, right?
Yeah, well, when you first meet the character, he's in a wheelchair, which they do a good job of hiding in the beginning because you think you're just sitting down, and then you go to get up and walk, and you're in a wheelchair, and then you basically have like Elysium, the movie Elysium with Matt Damon, like you have that
metal
exosuit sort of thing, or even that other one, Live Free Die, whatever.
Oh, Live Die Repeat.
Yeah, Live Die Repeat.
Oh, what a movie!
A great book. But what's it called? So so that's why I was like, all right, this is pretty cool. I can get into this. Then you have no idea what happens. The apocalypse just happens, and then you're just going along. But it's interesting. There's a lot of elements to it, so I'm still learning the game at the same time.
Yeah.
I think one thing I really do like about it is that if you're looking at an enemy, you can target, almost in a Fallout sort of way, you can target a specific aspect of them. So either the body, either leg, either arm, or the head. So if they don't have a protective shield over that, you can attack that area and kill them quicker.
Yes.
However, say they have a weapon in their right arm that you want. You don't have that weapon. You can attack the right arm. It'll take a little bit longer to kill them because they might have it with armor on it. But then you, as a finishing move, chop that arm off and can take that weapon. Yeah. That's a cool. That's cool.
But that's what I'm saying. Like this game, it is a Souls clone, but it does some really cool stuff.
Yeah, like it adds a little extra.
I didn't play enough of it. I played like 2 hours, and I was like, oh, I really like it, but I don't know. I don't remember. Maybe something came out that I was playing.
Probably because I'm hooked right now. Like the beginning was tough for me.
Yeah.
because you go out and almost like collecting the souls and stuff like that, like recollecting. Once you die, you have to go get your tech, so that you can get schematics and build new parts for yourself. So there's like, they throw a lot at you in the beginning, but if you have played those games before, you kind of know what you're doing.
Right.
And I collected all these souls, went through this really tough part, and I'm like, yes, let me just get back to the save point, and like going through, and then a big boss through an area that I've been before, a big boss pops up and you can't get out of it. And I'm like, you motherfucker. So I died obviously right away, and then I had to figure out, because you have 2.5 minutes to sprint back there and get your stuff, or you lose all that tech.
I forgot about that.
However, if you do beat like little enemies along the way,
it ups your time.
It ups your time a little bit. Basically, you just get the time back that you spent defeating that little enemy. So I'm like, I can't even prepare for this guy because I have to run right to the boss and just figure out how to beat him because I have to keep collecting my shit.
That's Souls, man.
Oh, it was so rough.
And the funny thing is, in those games, I know you haven't played much of them, but there's kind of a thing that's like when you're in a loop of just running back, getting your stuff dying, running back, getting your stuff dying on the same spot, and your pot is just getting bigger and bigger because you keep killing people on the way in. Yeah. And then when you lose it, you're so mad for about a second, and then you're like, oh, I'm free. Like you feel like you're like, oh, I don't have to keep running back there anymore. Right. You know what I mean? Like
weightlifted.
There's something so it is such a weird thing because you would never think that you would want to lose all that.
Yeah.
But once you do, it's like,
but yeah, so I've been playing this. Like I said, I've only played a couple of hours. I'm in the second area. Okay. So like you're basically trying to, I've only beaten one giant boss. And once you beat him, you get on a monorail, you go to the second area, trying to figure out what the hell's going on. So that's where I'm at now. It gets pretty friggin' scary. You know, like you're going through.
It's kind of like a horror game.
Yeah, all of a sudden you hear like these guys screaming, and you're just like, where the fuck's he coming from? You know, like Jesus. But I'm really enjoying it. It's free on PlayStation Plus right now.
That's awesome. Get that. One thing I wanted to ask, so because I didn't play that much, I forget. Are there like bosses, like Dark Souls bosses?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like big bosses with health meters.
Yep, giant enemy bosses, and that's another thing. You get these little
like totally unique things.
Yeah. You get these little, what's it called? I forgot what they're called, but you get little slots to add. You find stuff out there that's like, we'll give you a thing. So seeing an enemy's health, you don't always see it unless you put in the thing to have to see
it's
it.
Just like a mod.
It's like a mod that you pop on, but like another mod could be have an extra vial, or it's called an injection, which is basically your flask or whatever to get more health. You could have more energy, which you can use energy towards doing stuff. I just got in the second area a drone that's attached to my back.
Really?
So the drone, you could shoot the drone off at a guy. So while you're attacking him, the drone will shoot down at him and stuff. And then you can obviously add mods that'll make the drone better. And
man, you're selling me on this hard,
dude.
I gotta
get
back to this
because
game.
You know what? Like I like the Dark Souls aesthetic.
Came out 2 years ago, 3 years ago, something like that.
I think so, yeah. And it's like I heard it was pretty good, you know. And I'm much more into sci-fi than most other games, you know. So I was totally sold right away, and I was like, well, let me try it, you know. Nice. So it's cool. I recommend giving it a shot again.
Cool. So that was The Surge. You're playing it on PS4.
I am playing it on PS4.
PS Plus.
I'm sure. I think it's on Xbox too, probably.
Yeah, I think it's on everything. Just you know, if you have PlayStation Plus, go out there and grab it. Cool. I still have a shitload of games to talk about. I will bring up a game that I actually think is really, really cool. It's called Totally Accurate Battle Simulator.
Tabs.
I've
seen this.
Yes.
I've seen funny videos of this.
So Totally Accurate Battle Simulator it just came out in early access a couple weeks ago. It is just such a like ridiculous idea where it's just like, okay, there are two sides.
It's like red and blue, right?
It's red versus blue.
Not Halo.
On one side, the AI has set up a group of enemies, and then you basically have a set amount of money to spend on your army.
Okay.
And you drop down guys, and then you press play, and they fight each other, and whoever wins. You have no direct control over units or anything.
And they're just like ragdoll.
Yeah, so it's like a goofy ass, like cartoonish art style. Everyone has like googly eyes, and like so when they're like, and it's all physics based. So it's like they're like swinging a big hammer, they'll like fall to the ground because the swing was too hard if they miss. Like it's It's such a funny game, and there just aren't a lot of funny games out there. So to see something like this, it is just awesome. But a perfect example. So it's like, okay, there's this group. It's like 50 like peasants, pretty much, like small little guys.
Okay.
And you have like a certain amount of money. So it's like, all right, I'll try to put like 5 big guys and see if they could take them. And the peasants just like overrun them, like, stab them, kill all your guys.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, maybe I'll try to match them. I'll put down 30 little guys and they get crushed too. And it's like, shit, what do I do? You put out a mammoth because that's one of your options to put out. And it's this big mammoth just runs and like bowls over all these peasants. They go flying through the air. Is it like
so
a
campaign?
Funny.
Is it?
Yeah. So I should have mentioned there's basically 2 modes. It's like a campaign mode
and
or
a free play
or
something. Yeah.
Sandbox, whatever. Free play, you can basically just set up ridiculous battles, hundreds versus hundreds, and just let them play it out. But in the campaigns, it's like it kind of takes you through a progression where like you start out with just like cavemen type enemies or cavemen type people you can use, and then it moves up to like, I think the second one is like farmers. And then the third one is like knights, and then the fourth one is like Vikings.
There was like a computer game that was old like that, where it was just one side versus the other, and you would start off as caveman and eventually be like sci-fi robot people, but you had to keep building up. It was like a what's it called? Like mini clips. Remember that old website and stuff like that, like a super old nothing game.
Right.
But this seems super interesting.
It's so good. I'm telling you, I love it. Is just such a I can't really say it's like an amazing game, but it's like it's just so much fun
to play
and like so ridiculous. Like it's fucking awesome. And I'm telling you, like when it takes you through the progression of like campaigns, it starts you out with like, all right, you only have $300 or whatever. It's like points, and each unit has like a certain amount of costs, right?
Yeah.
And then when it gets you near the end of that, caveman campaign or whatever, you have a bunch to play with, so you can really try out different stuff, and it's fun to like. It's like a puzzle game kind of, where it's like, you basically just figure out where, what beats what, and let me try this out, and the results are always fun. Even if you like fail miserably, it's like, wow, that was ridiculous. There are these things called harvesters, and they're basically just guys with huge scythes, and there's one level
sweeping legs out.
Well, there's one level where it's like, they're tall too, so they're like swinging at heads. So it's one level where there's like 15 harvesters you're against, and I tried the thing. All right, let me put out 100 like little guys.
Yeah.
And they were just getting like mowed down by these scythes, and it's just so funny to see them like getting crushed, like flying through the air.
Googly eyes going flying everywhere.
It's so silly. It's really just a silly game, and it's awesome. It's like perfect for that. But
that's great.
Yeah, so that's called Totally Accurate Battle Simulator. It's only on Steam right now, I believe. It's in early access. I should check the price. Let me check the price quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can definitely have a ton of fun with this game.
I did. I haven't played it, but I saw some videos of people playing it. I'm like, that looks awesome.
It's fucking awesome. It's $15 on Steam. 15. I think it's definitely worth the ridiculous fun.
Yeah.
But I reminded myself of a game that you were playing that you didn't put on the list when I said it's kind of like a puzzle game.
Uh-huh.
You've been playing The Witness, haven't you?
Oh, I have been playing The Witness. Yeah. I'm stuck, though.
so I think, my problem. I don't even remember. You might have barely talked about it or not even brought it up on the last episode because you might not have been playing it yet.
I think I was playing something else the last time. Well, we did the Zelda thing last time, too. And then the previous one, I think I talked about it a little bit. But yeah, I have been playing The Witness, and I've been playing a couple of other things, so I haven't been dabbling in it as much as I should. But I got stuck at this one part, and I'm just like, couldn't figure it out.
Are you at a point where you don't have any other areas to go to?
No, I can. It's I'm just trying to figure out the rest of the town area, and I'm stuck on some of the like the Tetris shapes that you have to do.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at right now.
The town is basically, it takes like all the
elements from
elements,
everything. Yeah. Because I did them in the swamp area.
Yeah.
Or kind of like a swamp. I don't know.
It's like purple goo.
Yeah. So I did them in that area, but I'm stuck at the town area one. And then I did climb the mountain, and I saw like the stuff up top, and I think I have one more light to go. So I was just like grinding in the town area trying to finish it up.
Yeah.
I've been traveling around in the boat to different areas that I have, but most of the parts I've been to already, like just having traveled the island.
Right.
So that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
You keep attacking it.
yeah. It can definitely be tough.
Oh yeah. Well, it's one of those things like if you sleep on it and come back and you're like, oh, it's so obvious.
Yeah, exactly. So many times that's the case. But yeah, The Witness. I mean, it's basically just line puzzles. The game, but then they make some really interesting stuff.
And I like that they give you the progressions and stuff like that. Like the first time, actually, it sucked because I hit the town. I was night out on the town.
On the town.
I hit the town area and started doing the Tetris block ones before I did before I figured out what they were. Like I hadn't found the progression to it in the swamp area yet. So I did it first, and I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing here. Like, I don't understand this at all. And then I found the swamp area, figured it out, and I'm still stuck in the town. So I don't know how much that says.
Yeah.
But
still, yeah, that's a good. So when I played it, I kind of played like furiously and only played that, and that's not the best way to play it. The best way to play it is what you're doing. Play some other games, hop back in, play a few puzzles. Yeah. Go back to something else.
Because it like frustrates you as you're sitting there on one puzzle for like 15, 20 minutes, and you're like, why can I not figure this out? And it drives you nuts.
Oh, yeah, it definitely will.
But yeah, no, I will have an update for you next time, because I'm definitely going back to it.
So that's The Witness. I still have a bunch of games here. I'll jump in and say, so I had the opportunity to play a closed beta of an upcoming Double Fine game called Rad. I talked about Rad after the Nindy showcase. I was really looking forward to it, and I was lucky enough to be able to get into the closed beta, and I've been playing it a bunch. I played probably like 3 hours or so.
Yeah.
I really like this game.
I mean, I know you, Dan, and I were all very excited about it.
Right off the bat, this is a closed beta. They're still working on stuff. Yeah. So, this is certainly not like final impressions, final thoughts, anything like that. It's just this game doesn't come out till June. So,
right.
They have some time to do some things. But basically, what I will say is the art style itself and music and
super cool.
Oh my god!
It reminded me of Bastion the first time I saw it.
So it's a lot like Bastion, but it's like 80s neon, it's just awesome style. I love it. It's like acid punk, it's so good.
And your power ups are like mutant things and stuff like that.
So that's where the game gets interesting. It's a top down roguelike. So it's very similar gameplay style to Bastion, but it's not a linear story progression. It's a run-based game.
Oh, okay.
So it's like you go in with one guy, your first level up, like there's an experience bar at the top. As you kill enemies or find, certain things, you get experience. And I think it's not called experience, it's called rads, because you're like getting irradiated. By killing these guys.
That's cool.
And it levels you up like when you get too much radiation.
Slowly become the Fly.
Exactly. So the first level up you get is like your first random ability.
Okay.
So that happens pretty quick, usually in the first level, second level, whatever. But once you do, it'll be something like, you have this huge arm that you can throw out like a boomerang. And it'll shoot out and come back to you. So you use it's like a dual joystick game almost.
Okay.
But normally it's just melee with a bat.
Yeah.
But as you get these upgrades, you get different abilities. So I mentioned the boomerang arm. You get this little guy that sits on your back that you can throw out as a turret, or he'll just shoot off your back every once in a while. If you're like, but the funny thing is like, there are interesting combat implications to this game because the turret guy on your back will shoot if you have your back to an enemy, but if you're facing him,
he won't shoot with you.
He won't shoot. Yeah, so that's why
that's pretty cool.
That's why you can throw him on the ground, because then he could shoot all directions. So
little guy's got your back.
Exactly. There's also one that I had that made you really fast. There's one that makes you. It's a really well designed roguelike. It has everything you expect.
Yeah.
It has merchants that you can find randomly in levels. You can buy upgrades. You can buy, health item. Enemies will drop health items. You'll find chests in the world that require like floppy disks to open. Like it's doing what it wants to do really well. My one complaint so far is that I think the combat with just the bat is bland.
Okay.
So if you don't get a combat mechanic as your first upgrade, it can be a bit of a slog to get to level 2 to get your second upgrade and hope that you get a different combat.
Okay. What are your other options instead of combat abilities?
So there's a bunch. There's you can get wings that allow you to like hover.
Oh, okay.
You can get like I said, something that makes you run faster, something that makes you immune to fire damage. Like there's a bunch of stuff that's just passive abilities.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm saying it's like very hack and slashy without any of the abilities. But once you get some of these abilities and you can start messing around with them, it's really, really cool. I haven't gotten super far. I've gotten to like World 2, the end of World 2, something like that. But it's kind of like Spelunky where it's like it's run based, but okay, I did 1-1, I did 1-2, next is 2-1.
Okay.
World 2-1, so it's like you're not kind of jumping around or anything. It's just, it'll bring you through. But at the end, basically you're trying to like, similar to the Witness actually, you find these little totems that you activate that like shoot out a beam of light at the exit way to your little level.
So you can follow that.
When you get all the beams, the door opens up, you go through. It's doing some cool stuff with like, it's a wasteland above ground, like you've seen. But when you go into these exit areas, there's like an underground, like sci-fi looking bunker. And that you usually fight a boss at the end of the level that's underground.
Oh, okay.
You also find other areas that are like little hidden underground areas.
Throughout each world. Yeah.
Like, they do some really cool stuff. I haven't seen anything that's like really been surprising or blown me away, which, for me in roguelikes, it's nice to be like, oh, wow, what the hell is that?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I haven't really seen that. This is kind of a by the numbers so far, but it's really, really solid. And like I said, all the stylistic trappings really add a lot to this game because I think without that, it might just be kind of a,
I remember it being super aesthetically pleasing as we were
awesome.
watching it at the
It's
Indies.
so awesome. But yeah, even like every time you hit pause, there's like a voice that goes, pause.
Really?
Yeah, like it's just, and he does it in like different inflections and stuff.
That's cool.
It's just shit like that. Like, well, tell me if you heard this before. A Double Fine game is charming and well written.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like that is what they do.
It was the last Double Fine Gang Beast when we played that. We were having a hell of a time.
That game's I think published by Double Fine. I think a studio called Meatbone makes that game.
Right.
But yeah, I mean anything you look back on, I mean
Psychonauts.
This is what they do.
Yeah.
They make games that are funny and charming and nice to look at. So, yeah, Rad is looking like it's going to be a really, really fun game.
I'm excited.
So look for it. End of June, I believe. If I get any, I might be done with it for now because I checked it out.
Yeah,
I was happy I got to see it early. I don't want to spoil it for myself.
Yeah, no, of course. It's pretty polished for the most part?
It seems like it's kind of like the finished game and they're just fixing bugs.
Okay.
That's what it seems like from what I'm playing it. So...
that's good.
I mean,
not playing a super buggy mode.
No,
or anything.
I've had one crash, but other than that, nothing really to write home about.
Cool.
So it's been great. So that's Rad. I've been playing the closed beta. I'll talk about another beta that I've been playing.
Oh yeah, please.
The Dreams Creator Beta.
Oh yeah,
that came out.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna have to go get it then.
It's $30 on PS4.
Okay.
And I think it gets you the full game when the game comes out fully.
Okay, all right.
So it's called the Creator Beta, but you can still play everyone else's creations.
Oh, okay, all right.
I don't know what it's missing.
Is there a story?
That might be what
mode. Maybe there's missing.
It might just be without the story mode, and maybe you'll have to upgrade it and pay an extra $30 when the full game comes out.
Because even Little Big Planet had the story mode too that you could play. So maybe that's it.
I'm figuring that's really what this is, but this is like. So first of all,
How are your creations doing?
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about this game in a lot of detail because it's amazing and I can't stop thinking about it. It's such a ridiculous thing they've made, and I love it. So basically what I did was right when I jumped in, I was like, all right, let me just check out some of the stuff that people made, right? And it's just so, there's the things that people have made are so wildly different from each other in a way that you never saw in a Little Big Planet, because you're able to make, you know, for those of you that don't know, this is Little Big Planet in 3D, right?
Yeah.
So it's like,
instead of side scrolling,
you know, everything you're doing in Little Big Planet had to be a side scrolling thing.
Yep.
Or you can like mess with it a little bit, but it was very limited. This is kind of like, hey, here are our creator tools. You can do anything you want. Like that's the promise of this game. And I've seen some crazy stuff. That's what I'm saying. I've seen some wild stuff. Someone like remade the Kakariko Village. Like,
oh, right. Yeah.
Someone remade PT in a way that it really looks like PT.
For real?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But that's what I'm saying is like,
this game is so freaking exciting.
It is so exciting because just seeing, so basically they brought stuff in from their closed beta.
Okay.
Now this is the open beta.
Yeah.
So everything that's already in there, because I played it day one and was like, oh, there's a lot of shit in here, and I looked it up and it's like, oh, this is all the stuff from the closed beta.
All right.
But the fact that all this stuff that's already out there, like there was a really cool, like basically little cartoon, because you can make like movies and stuff in this, and it's just like,
you could just sit there and watch and enjoy.
Yeah. It's just so just going in and trying out. All right, let me see all the top rated stuff or whatever. Was incredible to see all the variety. But then you start to look at the creator tools that they have. So they have really expansive tutorials on everything from like, okay, here's how you navigate the creator world, because the 3D space and navigation is obviously a challenge.
Yeah.
So they're like, all right, here's how you do it. You use both sticks. You can grab onto something and zoom to it. It's like a bunch of, it's a really good suite of tools. Now it's like, okay, now let's talk about, making blocks bigger and changing their shape and whatever else. Like, so it's kind of taking you through slowly. And then it's like, all right, let's talk about like AI logic because you're making games.
Yeah, basically.
And so it's like, they let you basically, you can make a character in the game. You can sculpt him from scratch if you want, or you can take like an existing template that they'll give you.
Yeah. I think this template I saw was like a skinny,
yes,
tall
looks like a dummy. Looks like a practice target dummy you would get with a sword, right? Yep. So say you take one of those guys, right? You then can program the AI, like say, okay, start animation now. Take control of him, walk him somewhere, like you're playing the game, and then hit stop animation, and then you can hit like, okay, he does this when you hit this zone. So then you're like, okay, I'll choose the player character, walk him over there, and then the guy will just do his little animation and come back, and it's like, it's just so in depth with like what you're able to. They just want you to mess around with everything in this game. Like you can tweak the gravity of like, how heavy his limbs are, so how it feels to walk, if it's like loosey goosey or if it's like you want him to feel like deliberate.
Yeah, that's cool. Moon levels, low gravity.
Exactly. But the coolest part about this game is that you can basically borrow from anybody's creation out there if they allow it to be public, and then they are in the credits of your game. So like if you're like, hey, I have a really good idea and I'm good at designing games, but I can't draw worth of shit, I can't make these characters.
Yeah. You
can like look at other people's characters and say, oh, this person fits right in with what I want to do. Oh, I'll take this person. Oh, this guy made a T-Rex, that's really cool. Let me take him and put him in my game. And then at the end of the game, when the person plays the game, it'll have a whole breakdown of like, okay, this was made by this person, this was made by this person, contributors, and then they can then click on that and then download it themselves.
Wow.
And then put it in their game. You know what I'm saying? Like but it's everything, because they have a music
I was going to say music is going to be the biggest one, because people People don't make their own music for the most part. You'd have to go to somebody who does
that. These people are musicians, and they're actually making like real music in this game, and then you're able to just say, hey, music by this person, and use their whole track. You know what I'm saying? Like,
the
awesome. Possibilities of that is like so exciting. Like the fact that you're actually like figuring out, sharing content with each other, like everyone's, because you can be like, hey, I don't make levels. I just make.
Yeah, I can create a character, but level
I'm great at creating
not my
characters.
Thing. Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to focus on.
Or dialogue, like people.
I'm a great writer.
Yeah.
I'm going to write the dialogue for this game. Like,
this sounds awesome.
It is so fucking cool. And the fact that, you can record audio samples into the game via microphone.
Oh, yeah.
So you can, like, fully voice act all the characters in the game. You can, like, I'm telling you, the possibilities of this thing are outrageous.
That's
like,
cool.
I have only dabbled in this, and I am so in love with it.
And we were super excited to begin with, so I'm glad it's checking off those boxes for us at the moment. Man, now you get me so excited. I didn't know the beta came out. I have to go play it.
It just came out this past Tuesday, and it is so fucking good. It is so good. And those tutorials are amazing. And I'm telling you, they take you through and show you all this crazy, crazy stuff where it's like, they have the classic Little Big Planet stuff where it's like, bolts and hinges and whatever. So, like, you're making actual stuff like that. But then it's also like, here's how you program this. Here's how you program health.
Oh.
And, like, how much damage everything does. You can change. It's bonkers. And
that's so exciting.
I am so happy that they did such a good job with it.
What I love about things like this, obviously only having the 3 Little Big Planet games, 4 if you want to count the carts. It's like a Naughty Dog style. But is that everybody always has these endless possibilities of like, oh, I love this game, but what if this had happened in that game? And now, like, you can just go and do that. You want to something in your favorite game, but you want to change a little thing about it or add a little extra story to it of your own. Like, you can just go and do that, and it's gonna look great.
And I will say, like, they just really, really help make, like, it's very intuitive. I'm using a DualShock. You can use Move controllers if you want.
Yeah.
Just with the DualShock, like, once you get your sea legs in the creator thing, like, it is very intuitive and it just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Like,
which is good because I feel like this could be something that's super confusing. Yes. So if they're nailing that, that's a great thing.
They are nailing it. And the thing that is, people are going to get in the weeds with is all these different, like, if you think about it, like, because you can change all the camera angles, because you can change animations, because you have shit all over your level if you're, like, making a fully formed level. So, like, to the layman, it's going to be overwhelming. But I can totally see myself going in there and, like, taking the time to learn it and try it and whatever. And I'm telling you, because I'm not a, like, artistic person, like, knowing that I can be like, hey, this is really cool. This is that. Like, I feel confident that I can make a level because I can't draw worth of shit. I couldn't sculpt a character I want. Like, no way. But maybe I have an idea for a game and I can write it and I can do this and that. And it's just, the promise of that is so incredible that it gets me really excited just talking about it. Like, it is so fucking awesome.
Oh, man, I'm super excited for that now.
So it's called the creator beta. I don't know why, like, you're still playing all the levels. It's not like it's just the creator suite. Like, that's what you would think, but it's not.
So maybe they are just hiding a story mode.
I think they might
like
just
that.
be
That must be it.
working on the story mode still, yeah. So that is the Dreams creator beta.
Oh, man, yes.
I know you've been playing one more game here, Shelby.
I have. As I think I've said before, I'm always looking, if I'm playing, like, bigger console games, I'm always looking for a Switch game to be playing at the same time. That I could just pick up and put down, and I missed out on playing Super Meat Boy when it came out, however many years ago.
Oh, yeah, a long time ago.
And off playing Celeste last year and games like that, I'm like, all right, I got to play Super Meat Boy. Let me go back. I think it was like $10 or something on Switch. It's awesome. This game is so freaking good.
It's so
and
good.
Punishing, but it's incredible. I'm actually on the last level, the last boss of the last level where you're fighting the fetus guy. Like, it's so hard.
Yep.
But there were so many levels where I was like, this is so hard, I'm never going to beat this. And then I just put it down, picked it up the next day, and beat it, So I'll get there. But what an incredible game.
It is such a amazing platformer.
Oh, absolutely.
Love that
funny.
game.
It has comedy to it. You know, like it's just.
I don't know if I ever told you a story, but when I got my defibrillator put in, when I came home from the hospital, I was on like crazy painkillers, and I sat down. I remember this. So I got home and I was like, starting to feel the pain. It was time to take one, right?
Yeah.
Like, all right. I'm sitting. I'm like, perfect. I'll take a painkiller. I'll be out of it, but I'll just play Super Meat Boy. It was the year it came out.
Yeah.
So I like turn on. I'm on the couch and I'm playing, and I look at the clock and it's like 12:30 or something. I'm like, all right, playing. I look down. It feels like 5 seconds later, and it's 6:30 at night.
Oh my!
And I was like, what happened? I got like so like emotional because I was like so confused. I was like, where am I? But it was just like I was in the zone. There's something about I was playing Super Meat Boy and just so in the zone that I had no idea. I've been playing for 6 hours.
Oh, that's a great story.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
I'll never forget it. But what are you playing? You playing it on Switch, you said?
I'm playing it on Switch, yeah. And it's great, I've been playing it handheld for the most part. But yeah, absolutely. I love at the end, like once you finally beat it and you could watch all of your deaths at the same time. Like that's so funny.
And that game, everyone says it. This isn't a fucking new take, but everyone says it because it's a good thing. That fast restart, that instant restart.
Oh yeah.
Without that,
this
game wouldn't be half the game it is.
A load time would be miserable.
Brutal.
Miserable.
Because you really are dying that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do love that at the end when you see all your jumps.
Oh, it's like how many times you fucked one thing up. Yeah. You're like, God damn it.
It's the best.
But then you finally beat it. And you
have
like the run. It is. And then, you know what? I actually haven't played with any of the extra characters. I know you can unlock some extra characters. I haven't played with any of them. I'm just trying to get through it with Meat Boy. And I'm almost done. But yeah, it's super tough. Super fun, though.
Yeah. It's just a classic platformer.
Yeah.
Like I'm you can go back to that game today like you are, and it's fucking awesome.
And I know Super Meat Boy Forever coming out, which we were saying, like, it's not a remake. It's probably a new game.
I would have to watch it because I
don't
really
remember.
I don't remember. But if it is a new game, that's exciting.
Yeah.
All right, I have 2 more games here. I'll talk about one quickly because we are, going long on this.
Yeah.
Game. I've played a game called Photographs. It is a game by a studio called 88 Games. They mostly have just made like puzzle games in the past. They made you must build a boat or whatever it's called. They basically make like very light story but interesting puzzle type games, right? This game is a story game, and it's a total it's basically a total departure for the studio because it's nothing like they've ever done before. It basically takes you through 5 different vignettes of 5 different characters and their stories about what happened to them. I think it's 6 actually. Now I'm thinking about it, I can't remember. But this is another game that I am conflicted on. So I don't think it's a bad game.
Okay.
In the same way I think Pathway is a bad game, I don't think this is a bad game.
All right.
But I think that the stories are very hit or miss. Because, like I said, there are 5 or 6 vignettes, and they tackle, like, big topics. I don't want to, like, spoil this game outright, but I'll say I'll use 2
like controversial
2 of them.
Topics?
So, like, one of them is, like, colonialism with Native Americans and, Americans
coming over,
moving into their territory, right? And the way they handle that is interesting. But basically, the whole idea of this game is like, here's 5. I can't believe I don't know if it's 5 or 6. It's really bothering me. But
here's A. Just start with here's A.
Here's a tragedy. Like that's the whole point of the game. Here's a tragedy that happens. We're gonna take you through beginning to end how this story plays out. And in between story bits, it'll be like one little bit of story and then a little puzzle. Mm-hmm. And each vignette has a totally different type of puzzle. So one of them is like one of them is like a kind of, what do you call it with when you like it's like you're shooting a ball and you see the arcs like in a dot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you see like dot 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 dot, and you like move the arc of the ball to try to get into a certain place. Like one of them, the entire thing is that, and it's like for a girl that's like a diver, right? Okay. So you're trying to like, plan it and get the trajectory right so that you can go in, make the dive or whatever. For the Native American thing, it's like blocks. You have to basically piece together a little puzzle.
Okay.
Right?
So just a puzzle that really has nothing to do with the story? Or?
So the interesting thing is they do. And that is where the game really shines, when it's not telling a specific, straightforward, written narrative. I think it's really good.
Okay.
But the story bits in between, I think, are a little like cheesy sometimes and a little tonally all over the place. Like, I'm not thrilled with the way it kind of plays out as far as like the story goes, because I think the voice acting is kind of bad. I think the actual writing is not really well thought out. I don't know. I don't think they have the chops they think they do, is what I mean.
Okay.
But when you're doing the puzzles, like I'll just say it for now. I'm sorry, I'm going to spoil a little bit of this game, but when you're piecing together the puzzle, like I said with the Native American thing, you're basically piecing together a water, like the trajectory of the water to run through crops. And then the crops, as they get water, come out and go into certain people's mouths that are around the sides of the puzzles.
Okay.
So as that area starts, everyone's getting an equal share. Then as the white men are taking over, they're getting all the food. And so, like, you see it happening, and they're not over the top with it. And then you see, like, the little portraits of the Native Americans are becoming more emaciated and stuff. Like, that is good storytelling, in my opinion, because you're not beating people over the head with it, and you're not telling this, like, rote, poorly written narrative. You're just...
It's more show than tell.
Yes, and they do a good job with it in that, but then they still do the story part. And I think it works sometimes, but not often enough to make this like a great game. Okay. You know what I mean?
All right. Not to the point where it's like beating a dead horse. It's just like
that it's not well done. That's what I'm saying. It's not that they're over. It's not that they're like
they're not overdoing it. They're just
not doing it well.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, like I'm saying, the actual writing, like the actual story narrative, is not well done.
Okay.
If you look at it on like a timeline, this is what happens, and you just write that. Okay, that's compelling. But the way it's written and the actual like tactic, like the skill, the writing skill that these people have, I don't think is very high, personally.
Okay.
And like I said, I actually do like this game. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's terrible, but it could have been something really, really good. Is what frustrates me about it. When
you like play it and you're like, oh, why did you do that? Like sort of thing. Like
yeah. I said before, there are certain games where you see, man, I wish I could think of the specific example because I had a specific example that I'm forgetting. But sometimes you see a game maker or a developer be like, hey, here's a game that we made. Wow, it's really, really good. And then they get money, and then they make another game, and now they're able to put more into it. And you're like, oh, wait. Maybe it wasn't that good, but just because now they're allowed to tell the story out loud, it's not that good. Man, I'm telling you, in the past I've talked about it on this show, and someone will know, but I've talked about a game where it's like, you made a smaller game where you weren't able to write your story, and then when you were able to write your story, you're like, ooh, maybe you shouldn't have. Like, it was much better when it was up to our interpretation. So that's how I kind of feel about this, is like the interstitial, the puzzle parts tell a really good story. You don't have to then tell the story. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's Photographs. It is, I think, $10 on Steam. Let me see. Let me look it up. You know what's funny? I keep saying, let me look it up. Maybe I should look them up before the podcast. It is $12 on Steam. It's also on your phone.
Oh, it's an iOS or
it's I think it's iOS
Android?
and Android. But yeah, it would be a good phone game. The puzzles probably would do well with touch. So yeah, like I said, decide for yourself if that sounds like something you're interested in. I have my qualifications that I stated here. I think they had something pretty great, and they kind of squandered it with poor writing.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah. Last game I played.
Yes, please.
Something I can definitely say I loved.
Oh, good.
Hypnospace Outlaw.
Oh.
Have you ever heard of it?
I have not.
Look it up while I'm talking about
Hypnospace?
Hypnospace Outlaw. So the basic structure for this game is there is a company I believe it starts in 1999. There's a company that creates these things that you plug into, like you basically put on your face and attach to your brain that allow you to surf the internet while you're sleeping. Like that's the idea. But the thing that makes this game fucking awesome is that it's basically you boot up the game and you have a fake screen of like Windows 95. Right?
Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing here. It kind of looks like that.
Yeah. So you have the mouse trails, you have the little music player in the bottom, like you have all the shit. And the game takes place in that fake desktop, right?
Yeah.
But the thing it does, so the thing is called HypnoS. OS, you know what I mean? Like HypnoS is the name of the thing. And
that's a 90s.
Oh, it's so good. And you are I forget what they call you, but you're like a defender, right?
Okay.
So you're hired by the company to basically moderate people on HypnoS.
All right.
So your job is to go in and find things that go against the terms of service or whatever, and you like take a little gavel and you click on it, and then it like
you're out of here.
It determines if what you say is invalid is actually bad, and then you get HypnoCoin for doing it. Right?
Okay.
So you quickly start to realize that the company you're working for is like evil.
Yeah.
And the story plays out in some really, really interesting ways. But the easiest way to talk about this game is like right off the bat, you do like an intro video, and it's like this terrible like 3D graphics, like fake thing. And the funny, like, I'm talking about funny games. Like this game had me like howling in laughter like so many times because they just do such a good job of like the fake like voice that the person that's taking you through the virtual tour of Hypnospace, right?
Just sounds totally
terrible. And then something will cut in and it'll be like, if you look over here, like you hear somebody just like talking right up on the mic, and it's like so good. I'm telling you, it is so good. And then you go to like the first one of your first missions is like, hey, someone filed a claim against this guy Zane on his page or whatever. Go check it out. And you go there, and there's this really bad like rap rock playing, and like the fake music in this game is outrageous.
It kind of, the way you're describing it, kind of reminds me of Papers, Please, where you're kind of just like judging on people.
So it's that, but in a
super funny,
in a silly, funny,
web-based.
Yes, and it's just excellent, and I love where the story goes. My one gripe with this game is that some of the solutions can be a little ridiculous. Like
too easy or too
no, like so hard to find.
Oh, okay.
Some of them. They're fun to try to discover. I had to look up one or two things.
Yeah.
But it didn't take away from my enjoyment of this game. Okay. I love it through and through. Like, Hypnospace Outlaw is a fucking fantastic game.
So what a great name, too.
I'm going to literally,
and it's exactly
after
what it
this
sounds
podcast,
like.
I'm showing you 5 minutes of that game just so you can see it.
I'm totally in.
Holy shit, it's so good. I think that's it for the games.
Yeah, I mean,
an hour into the show,
yeah, right.
We're finally done with the games.
It's only gonna take me a minute.
Yeah.
I beat Super Hot in VR.
Oh, sweet!
I finally beat it. That game is awesome.
So good, right?
So good.
So good. Did you play the original?
No, I only played the VR version.
Play the regular one because it's a completely different game and it's just as good. It's amazing.
All right.
It's amazing.
I was playing in VR and trying to figure out how would you play this on a controller, but I'll
you
give it a shot.
You should play it. I'm telling you, it is that good. I love that game.
I'm totally in because I loved it.
It's so good. All right, we're gonna move in. We're just gonna talk about real briefly the Xbox One S All Digital Edition. Has been released, aka the Xbox One SAD, because that's what the acronym is, and I don't know how they let that happen, but it's the Xbox One SAD. I don't get how that got past marketing, but I love it.
Jesus.
The weird thing about this, so this console came out. It's an Xbox One S with no disk drive. Yeah. And it's just, hey, here's a 1 terabyte hard drive. Download your games. No disk drive. We're trying to get you ready for the future.
It's a physical Xbox, though.
Yes.
It just has, you can't pop discs.
It's normal Xbox. Just no disc.
Yeah.
The thing that I don't understand, that makes no sense to me, is it is $250, which is the exact same price as an Xbox One S with the disk drive.
Which does the exact same things. You could buy all your games
What
digital.
The hell?
What
are they doing? What are they doing? Why is this console not $199 to try to attract people to buy it? Because guess what? If it was $199, that's a really good price for an Xbox One.
$199 and then I don't understand what they were thinking.
I do not get it. So we're not going to harp on that too much. I just wanted to bring it up because I thought it was a little fucking weird, and also I like saying the Xbox One SAD because it's really funny.
What's the marketing thought there? Let's get rid of GameStop by just you're not allowed to put discs in anymore.
Reading the tea leaves, they're going hard on streaming.
Yeah.
On the next generation.
Yeah,
100%. So they're trying to get people used to the fact that they're not going to have a disk drive. Okay. That's my guess. I don't know why you try to get people used to that while keeping the same price point. I'll never understand.
That's where it doesn't make any sense.
I'll never understand that. But
sad.
Speaking of the next generation, the last thing I want to talk about today is that Mark Cerny sat down with Wired and gave a really interesting interview about the future of PlayStation. To get kind of down to the points, basically, I'm going to just talk about the specs of what Mark Cerny said we're looking for in the next PlayStation. He was very careful not to say the PlayStation 5, but every single headline
he basically
here,
just said the next generation.
Yeah,
for the most
every
part.
single headline I'm reading says PlayStation 5.
Yeah. That's really the only thing. They didn't talk about games. They didn't talk about much. They talked about specs.
Yep.
What they're looking
to do.
They talked
about specs.
How hard, how much power this thing's going to have.
And it has a lot of power.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is they're using an SSD, which people that aren't PC people, and I fucking suck at this stuff. I had Ralph help me with all my PC stuff because he's a lot smarter than me at this. But what I know is an SSD is so a normal hard drive is basically has a disk that spins up to get it going, right? An SSD is a solid state disk or solid state drive, so it's no disk spinning up. So the load times, the time to get into games, the time moving between menus is way shorter on an SSD because you are able to just, it wants to launch it, it's launching it. It's not waiting for any spin up time. You're not waiting for anything. The example they use in this, Cerny talked about, he showed off the SSD with a demo showing Spider-Man, the PS4 Spider-Man. On the Pro, it took 15 seconds to fast travel between locations. On this, it took 0.8 seconds. So basically, their pitch is we're getting rid of load times. We're getting rid of all the annoying, I'm telling you, and it sounds so silly, but using my PC so much now, when I go back to even PS4, just navigating menus, the little delays that it takes to get from you're scrolling sideways, you notice it.
Yeah.
And they're getting rid of that kind of shit. So that's the biggest thing. They also talk about their CPU is going to be AMD based on the Ryzen 3rd generation, which is the GPU is also doing Radeon. They're talking about ray tracing, obviously.
Yeah, I heard a lot about that.
Yeah. So that's basically the big parts of it. Is it's exciting to see them say, hey, we're putting this out, and it's just going to be like a really good CPU or computer, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's ideal.
If you're putting out like a really strong PC, because if this launches next year, which it seems like it might.
They're building the hype train.
The stuff that they have in here, like that's gonna. If you're building a PC with those specs that they're talking about, you're looking at like over $1,000.
Yeah, which is
so. I'm interested. Obviously, they get deals or whatever. I'm not suggesting that this is going to be anything crazy, but they cannot charge more than $500. They've proven that if you put that number above 500,
yeah, your sales are not going to be there. Yeah,
nobody's buying it,
which is tough.
A lot of people are looking at these specs and saying, I don't know how the fuck they're going to get this to 500, but I'm very curious. I just kind of I get excited talking about new console stuff. So.
Yeah. New tech is always fun.
Yeah, so I just really wanted to just briefly go over that, and we'll see what next year brings.
Yeah, hopefully they can figure out that price point and what's going to work best for them because, like you said, the specs are high.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited, though. It's exciting to hear things like – because really, what do we want from – they talked about it's 8K compatible, which is like, what the fuck are you even saying? Nobody has anything 8K.
No. There's even cameras that film in 8K now that you can't view it. Like
that's what I'm saying. There's no displays that use 8K yet.
Yeah.
So they're basically future proofing.
Yeah.
Smartly.
Consoles. Yeah.
But their 4K that they have on the Pro is bullshit anyway. It's not a real true 4K. So we'll see what this is.
Yeah.
Say your 8K. I don't know. But yeah. So I'm excited to hear more about the PS5. It kind of the next PlayStation. It kind of lines up, and it's making me start to think. So I've been seeing Hideo Kojima on Twitter posting pictures of like Norman Reedus like looking at an iPad or like a laptop of what you think is Death Stranding running, and it's making me think. Initially, it was making me think. I'm telling you, this game is coming out this year.
Yeah.
Now it's making me think. This timing kind of lines up with them talking about the PS5. I think it might be a PS5 launch title.
It would make sense, you know? And it would make people go out and, similar to Breath of the Wild with the Switch, go out and buy that system,
That is complete conjecture for me. I have no fucking idea. I just think that's an interesting thought because I'm telling you, I've seen some of the stuff he's been putting up, and I'm like, I before this PS5 still came out, I was like, this game's launching this year.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's ready.
We were talking about it.
To go, yeah.
But, he's so trivial sometimes.
Oh, yeah. But anyway, I think that's going to do it, Shelb, for episode 56 of Circle Back Podcast. Thank you for being here with me.
Of course.
Dan, we miss you, and we love you, and we hope you get better.
Yes, get well soon.
Thank you guys for listening, and until next time, peace. Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching and or listening. Just here to remind you that you can find us by searching for Circle Back Podcast or Circle Back Gaming on any of these podcast services: Anchor, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, or Stitcher. By God, I'm out of breath because of all these podcast services, but you can find us anywhere there. Also, you can find our video version on YouTube by searching Circle Back Podcast or Circle Back Gaming, and the rest of the videos we do. Thanks, guys.